Hello, Bridget Duffy here, aka Bridget of the Bridge. Building bridges, tearing down walls. Of course, when I'm not burning bridges, but that's another story altogether. Anyway, this is a story, it's a true story, and then I made a rhyme out of it. And I'll tell you the true story because this way you could catch up with the rhyme about it. And I was on my way to an FA meeting, which is like an AA meeting, only not at all. And it was a food addiction program. Anyway, I told you the story. It was like, unlike AA, you couldn't speak at a meeting unless you had 90 days that was authorized by a authorized sponsor. And then I kept getting almost 90 days and almost 90, never got 90, 6 years, 70 pounds. Never allowed to speak at a meeting. So not really like AA at all. So I started a meeting where anybody could speak. We called it a big book study, right? Anybody could come, anybody could speak. It was very successful. And then it was infiltrated by these ladies who had me put out of the group. And I was on my way to that meeting when this thing happened. And I'm at a T section, right? Go through the neighborhood, get to a T section. There's a dog, a beautiful white, young, gorgeous dog, just freaking out and dancing in the sun, and the sun was streaming through its long, beautiful blonde hair. And it was just like breathtakingly beautiful. And then just behind that, there's this like line of people with blue shirts and blue flags in their hands. And they're like literally 3 feet from the dog. And they're waving these blue flags at the dog, or at me, thinking I'm gonna hit him, but it was a stop sign and I was looking at the dog. But they kept waving their flag, and I think the dog was afraid of them because they were waving the flags, and the dog was obviously, because I'm a car and I'm pointing at the dog's freaking out, doesn't know where to go, keeps turning around in circles and circles, and I'm like, surely, I'm afraid of dogs at the time. I had a phobia of dogs my whole life, and surely I'm thinking one of those guys are gonna just grab it, pull it to the side. But no, I'm like, this is stupid. Then I look up, and over the crest of the hill comes this fucking big old monster truck followed by a million other cars, just going like 55 miles an hour. And I looked at the dog and I looked at the cars, and I just knew this is not, and sure enough, the first car missed him, but the monster truck didn't. And my viewpoint, I could see the dog turning a million times. I'm surprised he didn't burst into a million pieces, or at least 2 pieces. Turning, you could tell his back is broken for sure. He's definitely dead. He gets spit out to the side of the road. I get out of the car finally. The idiots from across the road now come and try to pick the dog up. And I'm like, hold on. The dog is definitely dying. Picking him up now was only gonna cause him more fright. We're gonna let him pass. We're gonna be with him. And everybody listened to me. And I dropped down on my knee, and I was petrified of dogs, and I was afraid this one was gonna bite me because he was so scared. Eyes are going crazy, just looking. He couldn't move, but he was going, his eyes were going. And I touched her nose, and immediately her eyes met mine, and they went real peaceful. And literally, it was probably not even a full 30 seconds, and she closed her eyes and died. And I got over my fear of dogs in this encounter. And then stuff happened in my life that changed my life because I got rid of my fear of dogs. So it's kind of like a profound story that really happened in real life. And it all made me think of politics, because at the time, Obama was like in his second year of his second term, and it was pretty apparent that anything that anybody thought he might have done was clearly not going to get done, because it was more militaristic than ever, and a bigger military budget. And he never pardoned Leonard Peltier, or, he prosecuted Julian Assange, I think it was during the Obama years. So anyway, I was feeling disappointed politically, thinking that anyway, not too long ago, and not too far from here, I encountered a remarkable happenstance which helped me face my fear. I was bitten by a dog when I was just a pup myself. I couldn't run away fast enough from its snapping, snarling mouth. In the end, he got me, and he got me there, but good. Ever since then, I thought that dogs were just no good. When one bright morning, as I was driving through the hood, I came to a T-section where a crowd of people stood. They were waving their arms in the air and looking right at me. There was a dog in the road they were afraid I wouldn't see. Its long white hair was gleaming as it caught the morning sun. It danced and flowed with panicked moves in front of everyone. In the quiet of that moment from safe within my car, I thought it might be fine somehow, for help was not too far. Like that moment or two in 2016, when the majority of Americans thought it would be keen. Why, if we could get Bernie elected, he may stop society's needs from being so neglected. None of us expected what came next, and the experience has put us all to the test. From over the hill, like Donald Trump himself, came an oversized white pickup truck, followed by a speeding wall of traffic. The scene had suddenly turned quite tragic. In that lingering moment, our hearts and feet were frozen still, while action was required if we were to deny the truck its kill. It was over as quickly as it had begun. There I stood silently in the sun. The onlooking do-gooders from the other side came to pick up the dog, though it be broke and terrified. I got in the way and put up my hand. I was sick of stupidity and had to take a stand. To move that dog now will only cause it more grief. Let's just be with it now. Its time is brief. Let's see, baddie girl. Baddie girl is me when I'm brave. With that and with heart in hand, I dropped to my knees and stretched out my hands. The moment her grateful eyes met mine, I fell in love with all of dog kind. I stroked her nose, she laid down her head, and just like that, the dog was dead. In that slice of solemn time, without words, tears, reason, or rhyme, we prayed and grieved in unison, facing the fears we could never outrun. Regret has an inescapable effect. It makes you refrain from doing things you regret. I'm sorry if I didn't do more that day. And that something beautiful died because I was afraid. Now, baddie girl, it's true, could have done something rude. That's me today. She could scream and shout and try to point stuff out. She could have driven her car out into the fray. She certainly would if it happened today. But I didn't care much for dogs at the time, and I didn't want to risk my own behind, especially for something not even my kind. The onlooking do-gooders, on the other hand, were perfectly positioned to lend a hand and step on out just a few short feet and grab hold of democracy before she gets put to sleep. The monster Trump and all those behind him could not see the road beyond them. They had no idea of the impending dread, and they zipped on through without turning ahead. They had already been on that road for some time, a road which began in another place and a different time. It is the owners of the dog, the people you see, who simply weren't around. They were nowhere to be found. But if they had been there, if they had only knew, it's not hard to imagine what they would do. Okay. There's an ending. It's bigger. No matter how long and bumpy a road may be, all roads have an end. And now we will see that this is where all the good stories begin. History is full of brutality and destruction. Her story will be a grand production, full of rejuvenation and solution. This is how we embark upon our evolution.
Yeah. Awesome.
And that's democracy. That's my dog, Ray. And then I did this great cartoon about what would have happened if Bernie had gotten elected. Yeah.
All right.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Thank you. Get your copy today. We'll have it online at Bridget Duffy.
That's true.
And on my page. And we'll be coming up with some more stuff soon.
Yep.
Peace, love, and aloha.